Hey guys, welcome to Bolt from the Blue Tarot. My name is Sam. I'm an intuitive tarot card reader, amongst other divination tools. And today we're going to start out with some T-tabs, see who we're talking to, what's going on for you. Let's see. All right. The brightness of your being is generated from within. Wow. So, right off the bat, I'm just getting that someone is putting too much stock in the opinions of others about their own worth, possibly their abilities. Yeah, you might be letting others color how you see yourself. And we all do this. More? No, okay, we're good. Okay, so no more, but they want me to go more on this. The brightness of your being is generated from within. I'm also getting that you are very bright, like your soul is radiant. And this may be something that you early on were told not to be or to be less. And you have, to a degree, internalized that, as many of us have who have extrasensory kind of gifts, who have souls with some magic to them. And we all do, but some of us are particularly gifted. And you may be one of them. There's been an underappreciation of your worth by others, and that has caused a less than rosy assessment on your part of your own worth. There may have been some playing small. And you know, when we internalize this at a very young age, we don't even realize that we're playing small. We just think like, on some level, we know that it makes other people uncomfortable when we are our big, bright selves. And so we've taught ourselves to, I heard another reader describe it as fold up your wings. And it's just the most poignant, so heartbreaking, that phrase, fold up your wings, because you should never have had to do that. Okay, cool. We're gonna move on to some D&D spell cards. I love these. These are absolutely wild. Steel Wind Strike. Steel Wind Strike. Just the one card. I'm not supposed to read it, I'm supposed to intuit. Okay. So the Steel Wind Strike is a 5th level transmutation. I don't play D&D, guys. I don't know what that is. I was literally guided to buy this at a bookstore. Oh, this is a 5D message. Yeah, okay. Um, so there's something here about your abilities of transmutation, the negative energies that you've had to deal with, the negative energies around you, attracted to your big, bright 5D-ness, like moths. And you may not know that you can cleanse a space in lots of different ways. A lot of the ways that they teach you are based on like visualization meditation, but you might have aphantasia, so maybe you can't visualize, right? Or that is not your strength. Maybe it is, but you just don't know about some 3D ways to do this because you're a very 5D kind of soul. Yeah, maybe maybe energy within you and in the imaginal realm is your go-to. But you might not realize that you can use 3D objects and sound to cleanse spaces. Yeah, okay, so it's sound for you. So Steel Wind Strike makes me think immediately, of course, of my favorite sound method for cleansing a space, which is wind chimes. I have these right next to my desk, and I just ring these when the energy feels a little weird. Sometimes something comes through that's like, no, don't share that message. Like, you're gonna mess up my food source, my energetic food source, you know? But wind chimes are a beautiful way. I really like music tracks. Like, you can find them on Spotify, their entire playlists of wind chimes. And it's like wind chimes next to the ocean, wind chimes, you know, in a forest, with bird song and stuff. So a lot of people, energy folks, recommend ringing a bell, or also singing bowls. But I find them very loud, and they're just not my favorite sound. Whereas wind chimes, I really dig. So um, and they make very fancy ones. Like, this is by a company that tunes them to different musical instruments, and this one is a piccolo. But they make them in all different sizes with all different tones. Um, my house isn't full of wind chimes or anything like that. I just prefer. A lot of people say get a little bell, but I prefer wind chimes. And there's lots of other ways to use sound to cleanse a space. I have an energy clearing playlist that includes a YouTuber called Encoded Frequencies. I believe it's with Katie. And I think her name is Catherine Jameson. She goes by Katie. She is an Aussie, and she is incredible. Like, she's I think a musicologist, music therapist, but she's big into 5D and beyond kind of energies, and she infuses these energetic clearing tracks. Like, she's a composer as well, so she makes the music um, tuned to clear energy and cleanse energy, and then she adds layers of like light language and stuff like that. You should check out her stuff. That's being highly recommended for you. She is a wizard. Big fan of Katie. I will link her stuff in the description. If I forget, it's in the energy clearing playlist, and she also has one in the space clearing playlist, which is one I made for physical spaces that you should definitely check out. Yeah, my favorite space clearing track is with Katie. She is really, 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 really good. And you might be super into sound. You might be a musician yourself, but you may not have realized the capabilities of this. And some of it is intention. So maybe you you play music beautifully already, and you just set the intention that it clears the space when you play it. You can also do that. I would imagine. I'm not a musician, but her stuff is really powerful, in my opinion. It really moves energy. Steel wind strike. Uh, the universe is brilliant. Like, the universe is such a sense of humor. I really enjoy it. Any more from here? Yeah? Okay. They're like, you like that? Just wait. This one? Tidal wave. Oh, I mean, let's not forget about cleansing with water. Is there something else here? Tidal wave. Okay, let's not forget. So there's an aspect of a lot of clearing of energy comes from the within, as you will already know. Someone with this very like interdimensional frequency already, very high vibrational frequency already. Like, you might resonate as a star seed. You know, there's some interdimensional friends are joining us for this reading. So you have friends in higher dimensions. You might already know about some of these methods, like filling a space with light, surrounding yourself in bright white light and golden light. But what you might not realize is the ability of sound not just to clear a space, but to calm your nervous system. So what I'm getting here is you might really like ocean sounds. And, you know, when we are in fear and anxiety and these low vibrational emotions, and they're perpetuated by what we're feeling energetically or some situation that's going on, we can get really hijacked, and this fear fuels more fear and lack, and it attracts energies that are unsavory. It's a buffet, right? Like, they thrive on this. So a lot of people are very like fight fire with fire and do a bunch of magic to clear space or whatever. But truly the best, like the master, knows that they don't have to do any of that, and they don't fight fire with fire. They fight fire with spiritual calm. I've said it in videos before, but your spiritual calm terrifies demons, however you want to think of those. I tend to just think of them as thought forms. So yeah, it's like the fight fire with fire model gives them more fear to feed off of, because you're getting combative, right? And that's what they want. It engages you, you know, they want your attention. So if you instead choose things that calm your nervous system, if you respond to these anxiety inducing energies with calm, you actually rob them of a food source, and it's kind of like you starve them out, you know. And you also, as a it's like a two-pronged approach, where you also wind up raising your vibration to the point where I heard a really good analogy from another reader once, who was talking about, he was watching a nature show, and it was about eagles, and crows will attack eagles, and they'll latch onto the back of the eagle where the eagle can't like turn around to grab them, and they'll peck at them and stuff. But the eagle just stays calm, and it ascends, right? Like, it rides air currents higher and higher and higher, because the biology of the eagle can withstand much higher altitudes than that of the crow. So the crows will drop off naturally as the eagle calmly ascends. And this is how you deal with these energies. You do not engage, you do not sink to their level and fight fire with fire. You fight fire with water, right? You use energy in a clever way, even if it doesn't feel like super macho. Like your divine masculine might just want to like get at these energies and swat them away, but this is a much cleverer approach that's being recommended here. More of these? Yes. We like the D&D spell cards. I love this, guys. Can I just say I look forward to these readings all day, and I love being in your energy. Thank you for joining me. It's so much fun. Mass polymorph. 9th level transmutation. Oh boy. Which parts am I reading here? Okay. Okay, I'm just going to start reading. Material needed for this spell: a caterpillar cocoon. You transform up to 10 creatures of your choice that you can see within range. An unwilling target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw to resist the transformation. An unwilling shape changer automatically succeeds on the save. There's some illusion here. These energies are... There's some definite trickster energy here. My sense is you're dealing with something invisible, something energetic, something possibly something that shapeshifts. And you might think it's multiple things and it's only one. You might think that it always comes through in this one way, but actually it does different things, right? So there's this sense that with this shapeshifter energy, it's like its main strength is to bring you down the rabbit hole, right? And then confuse, like bring you into the hall of mirrors, yeah, where it can deceive and cause illusion and delusion and fear and anxiety. Just don't go in. Don't go into the hall of mirrors. That's the advice here. Anything else from this card? The creature is limited in the actions it can perform by the nature of its new form. It can't speak, cast spells, or do anything else that requires hands or speech. Okay, this is a reminder that you are more powerful than this thing. Like, far and away more powerful, guys. Yeah. Like I'm just seeing those little things that swim underneath sharks that are like attached to it. This thing needs you to provide it with food, right? It's a lesser energy. Feeding off of your big, bright light, the brightness of your being generated from within. Deny it that food source. The creature is limited in the actions it can perform by the nature of its new form. So this is just a reminder that like it takes a lot of energy to come through and be in your space and cause all these hijinks. Start viewing them that way, because someone here is like on high alert. Their nervous system is on high alert, looking to see what this thing will do next. I'm seeing that monster from Monsters Inc., the one that's like the best at scaring children because he he essentially shapeshifts. I think he's more like a chameleon, where he takes different like colors and shapes. But ultimately, he's, start thinking of this as hijinks, because that's all it is, right? This thing needs you to play the game for it to get anything out of it. It takes a lot of energy for it to come into your space. To stay there takes even more. Do not provide it with it. Okay? And this is, I understand, easier said than done. Especially if this has been going on for a little while and it knows all the buttons to push. But this is hopefully teaching you some buttons that you can push in return. And yours are more gentle and they're wiser. And this is the work of a master, right? You fight fire with gentle wind chime sound and the gentle roar of the ocean. And by not engaging. There's a Taoist parable about a sword maker, these two sword makers, and these soldiers wanted to see who is the best, because they were both reputed to be master sword makers and swordsmen. And so they decided to arrange this test where they had each of these masters forge a sword, and then they brought them to a river, and they drifted leaves down the river, and the masters were to hold their sword in the river and see how sharp and how well made they were by just like gently the leaf goes down the river and the sword cuts right through, right? So the first master does this and it's astoundingly sharp, great sword, whatever. But the second master, as the leaf drifts towards the sword, he just moves it out of the river completely. And it's like a Page of Swords energy, like this withdrawing of this sword. But the lesson here is that the master doesn't even engage. The master knows that you learn swordsmanship so that you don't have to fight, right? It's a very Mr. Miyagi lesson. We learn karate so we don't have to fight. Anything else from here? We're doing more. Should I have just treated it like a spread? Yeah, okay. Maddening darkness. So this is reminding me of a lesson that I learned early on about spirits and the light spectrum. Dark spaces. Think like cupboard under the sink. Open those up. Let light, natural light, shine into them as often as possible. Make it very physically uncomfortable, because there are certain spectrums of light which are much more comfortable for this kind of spirit. And they are more uncomfortable in daylight. As much as you can get into the apartment, into the space. Yeah. And for the next little while, opening those spaces where energy gets kind of stale and stagnant. Spaces that light wouldn't shine into, that air wouldn't move around, that sound would be muffled in. You want to get high vibrational sound into those spaces. I don't mean you don't have to like stick a speaker, like a boombox, under the sink. I just mean like everything that you're already doing out here with the light, with the sound, with the energy clearing playlist that I recommended. Get that playing and keep these spaces open as much as possible. So the closet doors you would normally close, just leave them open. And this isn't like this isn't a forceful thing. This is just like you're making it a less hospitable environment for this thing. Do I still need to read any of this? No. Okay, we got it. Any more of these? Okay. I feel like I got this deck just for you, whoever you are. Infestation. Don't panic. Okay, I got it. These are all methods of energetic cleansing. And you know when your house or like a full apartment building gets an infestation of termites, fleas, whatever, and they fumigate it? Smoke. So smoke cleansing is really, 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 really useful. The kinds I like are, and I'll let you know what's being recommended as I raw these off. Palo Santo, that's recommended. White copal, that's recommended. Incense, depends on the kind. Yeah, so some incenses are offerings to spirits or things that they enjoy consuming. Other incense are like to clear spaces. So look into which are which. Is there anything specific being recommended here? Look, if you're going to go with anything, go with the Palo Santo and the white copal. Those I have used myself to good effect. With the white copal, it's like it's a resin, a hardened resin. So for that one, you need like the quick lighting coals that they use for hashish. So look into how to burn that if that's what you go with. That's the smell I prefer, but I also really like Palo Santo. For the incense, yeah, okay, I'm gonna skip that. You're gonna have to use your own discernment with that, but look up what people say, which ones are for space clearing, and then look up which ones are for like incense as offerings. Frankincense and myrrh are typical ones historically. You don't want to use those to clear a space. That's like an offering, like a come in. You want to clear spirits out of your space in this instance. And call in your own spirit team as well. It's really going to sound like I'm plugging my stuff, but I have another channel. I always link it in the description box. Check that out because a lot of the best advice I can give is subconscious. So when we consciously feel like, no, I feel like I'm safe, but subconsciously we still feel threatened. It's that subconscious that still allows, like we truly have to give permission for this kind of entity to enter our space. And if we subconsciously feel completely protected, like our energy is protected, then this will be so much better for you. So check out the subliminals that I've made on my other channel. There's one that invokes the archangels all around you in a protective, like all four directions. And this is very common to lots of different spiritual traditions, including shamanism, right? Like a north, south, east, west, and it orients you within the universe. And it subconsciously reassures you that you're protected on all sides. The archangels, if you don't know, are non-denominational, and they'll help anyone. So you just have to ask for help, and they're there. You just have to think their names, and they're there, okay? Archangel Michael in particular. Super protective, masculine, fiery energy. I didn't know anything about the archangels until this happened to me. So, been here. That's how I know how to recommend all of this. I feel like this is a capstone project of sorts here that Spirit is having me do. I'm running through all of the resources. Check out my other stuff. And definitely the energy clearing playlist. One is just for your person, and the other is for physical spaces. So physical spaces play over speakers, like on the TV, or on a tablet or a phone with the speaker turned up. And then the energy clearing playlists and the subliminals you can listen to with headphones. And those will really help. You will feel lighter, and they will help to take, like the you know, when you get a fear reaction and your body gets flooded with fight flight chemicals, and you have to kind of purge those toxins out. It's the same with energy, and these things will help you purge out that energy of fear and lack of protection, like all of these things that are not true. You are protected. You just need to lean into that idea. It's very hard to feel that way when you're like, Sam, I feel like I'm being spiritually attacked, and you would not be recommending all of this if I weren't. Fair enough. But this is one of those, you have to believe it before you see it. The best defense here is imaginal, because this thing, that's its hunting grounds, if you like. That sounded more ominous than I meant it. But it's like, if something works in the imaginal realm and you're doing, like, you have to set up defenses within that realm as well. Those are the best ones, right? We can do all the physical stuff as well. Equally as important all together to do this. A lot of this is just like helping you feel reassured as well. Like your space is cleansed and clear and high vibrational and positive. Yeah, anything else from this deck? Oh my God, okay. Just tell me when. This one? Transmute rock. Okay, this is a crystals one. So it's crystals and salt. This is like, it truly is a capstone project. Here's one I cooked up earlier. This is just a bowl of chunky natural sea salt, coarse sea salt. And this is what's recommended as best, but you can use any salt. Put salt, which is very cheap, in little bowls in every room. Salt absorbs negative energy, and you do it with this intention, right? You can even make like a ritual out of this. This does a couple of things. The salt literally absorbs negative energy from spaces, so it feels lighter everywhere you go. And then it depends how far into this you are. But whenever you feel like it needs to be changed out, get new salt, and then thank the salt, throw it away. Throw it in the bin, and then take that trash out. And it's like a filter system in your apartment or your home. I keep saying apartment. I feel like someone lives in an apartment. Crystals. We talking crystals? Yeah. Okay. So I think I covered this in a recent video, but protective crystals, the black ones, the red ones, the root chakra related crystals, smoky quartz is really good. What else, Spirit? Okay, there are also some psychic protective crystals. So they aren't necessarily associated with the root chakra, but they are protective from an entity that plays these games. Psychic protection. So amethyst is a really good one. What else we got? Lapis lazuli. And then for the black crystals, usually people recommend black tourmaline. That's a good one, but it's kind of like the salt in that, in my experience anyway, it absorbs what's already in the space, the negativity, and helps to transmute it. But it needs more cleansing, in my experience. So don't throw away the tourmaline, but cleanse it, smoke cleanse it. And then you can also use water, and then put it, so grid your apartment in black tourmaline, or your home or your room or wherever this is happening. Grid it in black tourmaline, and then like every time you switch out the salt is a good routine to have. The tourmaline can probably last longer, but every time you switch out the salt, you can also gather the tourmaline and cleanse that. Oh my God. Okay, I'm going to go into this. This is going to sound so crazy. I can very viscerally feel energy. You may also be able to. I'm not sure. In any case, the energy that the black tourmaline absorbs is like this dirty, fearful energy, right? Low vibrational stuff. When you go to cleanse it, when you're picking it up, first of all, use your right hand. If you're right-handed, if right hand is your dominant hand, use your right hand as much as possible. The left hand, in that case, is the receptive side. So you're going to absorb more energy from holding it in your left than you will in your right. Pick it up in your right. But if you can, use rubber gloves. And I don't mean like thin latex ones. If you can, get the ones that are thicker for washing dishes. If you can, get the ones that are thicker for like electrical safety. The reason for this is because, and this is purely, it's because I went through this that I discovered this, and I can very viscerally feel energy. There's something about energy where it moves like electricity. There's something similar where an insulator, like very thick rubber, seems to prevent these energies from being able to move as efficiently or at all. I'm unsure. I think it just slows them down. I'm unsure, truly. Like there was no science to this. I was just like discovering these things as I went. black obsidian. I'm getting for you tourmaline is the way to go. And gridding the apartment with it. Look up how to grid an area with tourmaline, but just especially the corners, like you're just putting it around the room and setting the intention that it forms this like protective outline around your space. Like imagine a tripwire that connects all of the black tourmaline, or like an electric fence. It's that kind of feeling. Selenite is also super high vibrational and charges and cleanses other crystals. Selenite is a great one to have around. Black tourmaline and selenite are both cheap, so that's a good rec. Yeah, just raises the vibration of a space. Anything else from this one? Okay, we covered it. My attention is being drawn back to the steel wind strike, the cleansing with sound. You can also do this with your voice. Sing, dance. The best defense against this thing is relaxation, enjoyment, joy, right? There's nothing to feed off of if you're in these states. There's nothing for it to eat. It can't, like, all it can do is try to bother you out of those states. And then you just remember, stupid hijinks. And then you go right back to dancing, playing loud, high vibrational music that you like, and singing. There's an exercise from the book Psychic Witch by Matt Oren, which is, it comes from Egyptian magic, but it's E-A-O, these fundamental like vowel sounds. And you sort of sing these from deep inside of you. And so it starts with E, and you're moving your hands up across the space that you're facing. Like, and imagine that you're like, put yourself in high priest, high priestess mode. Take on spiritual power, because a lot of it is about projecting your God nature, like your spiritual power. And you're kind of sensing the feeling of the room. And then you switch to like an uplifting of the energy, and you transition seamlessly into ah. And then as you raise it up towards the ceiling, you transition to oh. And this E-A-O exercise, like you can just do this again and again. And if you're in a space where that has contained darkness like this for a time, this these hijinks, it's likely to feel a little bit heavier. Like it's a more comfortable environment for this thing if it feels heavy. So what you're doing is you're lifting the energy, and you're making it lighter and high vibration, more high vibrational. I've literally done this in places with heavy energy, and the light looks brighter. It's crazy. Yeah. Anything else? That's it. Okay, with the maddening darkness. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. This is going to make me look kind of crazy, but someone needs this advice. So you'll probably see other readers with UV lights as well on in the background. That's like a theme that I've noticed. I'm not the only reader who does this, but I pretty much now only turn this on for readings, but there are some like exorcists from different cultures that sometimes they will go in with a black light like that. It just makes it less hospitable for certain energies. So that may be something to look into. Yeah, experiment with different colors of light is what I'm being told. And see how it feels. If you can, look at the light spectrum of different bulbs. Sometimes they will involve like different aspects of the spectrum, and sometimes they'll be at one end versus the other. UV lights, lights that mimic the sun. This is how you can bring it into spaces, bring this light into dark spaces that wouldn't otherwise be touched by it. Corners, I have noticed, things like this enjoy. Dark spaces, places that routinely don't get the light. Yeah, you're going to deal with this a lot faster than I did. A lot faster. And more high vibrationally. Like you're just going to feel better doing it. Do I need to pull other cards? Yes. This one? This is going to be a long reading, but someone really needs this. Like this is going to help someone. This one? Japati's wish. Interesting. We're going off the book? Are you pushing yourself too hard? Okay, so this whole thing that is happening to you can be really, 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 really stressful. And I'm so sorry that you're experiencing this. But it can put us into an energy of overexertion trying to solve the problem, rather than thinking of it like, oh, well, you know, there are cockroaches in my building or whatever, and they've set traps to catch them. It's just like a gradual thing, you know? Eventually the infestation will just peter out. And I don't have to actively, like, this is all energetic hygiene. And this is kind of like on the extreme end of energetic hygiene, but it's what's being called for in this reading. And it's what's necessary in the situation. So like, just do this and know that like a strong immune system is what you're creating here energetically for you and for your space. I keep wanting to say the apartment. Is that it from this? Yeah. Okay. Someone is just like, and again, this is the energy that feeds this thing, right? Is this frenetic, stressed out, constant rumination on this thing. This is something that's going to go away on its own as you practice this. Like you're just making it, you're just eliminating its food source. You're making it an inhospitable environment. This thing is going to, like in some sense, it's just like it needs to find a different food source after a while because you're giving it nothing, you know? Yeah. Any from here? Okay, we're really doing all the cards. Yeah, okay. 8 of Swords. Any more from here? Are we going to do a spread? Okay, I'm going to talk about this one first. No? Okay. Hang on, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. King of Cups. 8 of Swords. King of Cups. Is that it? King of Wands. Okay. So this is some more advice. So what do you do when you're faced with an enemy that you can't see or that shapeshifts so you can't get a handle on it? In what realm do you choose to do battle? Or to rather not do battle, right? How do you approach something that feeds on fear? You eliminate the fear. You move wisely. You move from a place of emotional mastery. You know that you can be most powerful in eliminating this obstacle from the realm of cause, from within, from the realms in which it resides. Okay, so I'm a big fan of self-hypnosis. And when this was happening to me, I realized that I was subconsciously vulnerable to this thing, that it existed in the quantum, and I had to fight it in that same space. And so I created a self-hypnosis script in which I trapped it in a different place in the astral. Like in the script, I worked with a guide, an archangel, in this mind castle. Oh God, this sounds so crazy. But no, this is the way to go about this, right? Or it's one way to do it, right? I realized after a time, I was like, I need to lean into my strengths. What are my strengths? And I got super into hypnosis at the age of like 11 or 12. And I was hypnotizing family members at that age. I've been using self-hypnosis as a tool for a long time. And I was like, I'll make myself into this subconsciously, right? So the way I did it is just one way to do it. The subliminals I made will help. But you have to believe that you are this. You have to believe that you are protected, right? Because it's the self-doubt, the doubt in that belief that allows it in, or allows it to get a rise out of you, you know? So get creative, think about what your strengths are, and lean into those, because you are, in some realm, right, at something, you are an absolute wizard, and it will help you with this. Yeah, what I did is just one method. But there's a focus here on like creating a solution from an imaginal realm. How would your inner child solve this? Like your inner child with the genius of an adult. How would those two go about doing this? The inner child comes up with an idea and the adult finds a way to execute it. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Chakra cards. Third eye. I am insightful and intuitive. I am insightful and intuitive. You are clever. You are psychic, right? You have all of the tools at your disposal. And this thing is just a parasite. By contrast, you are a god. It is a cockroach. Don't worry about this. It's going to be a process, right? An infestation doesn't get cleaned up overnight. But you're going to come out of this like this. I see a lot of people trying to become like spiritually unmesswithable. And you can't teach them this. That's why it's a soul lesson. Like you have to have gone through this to become this. Because you can read all of this stuff from a book, but if you've never practiced it, you don't understand what works and what doesn't. You don't understand your own mind as well. You don't learn how you can leverage your strengths to solve a problem in a realm that you can't even see, right? Like you don't become, I don't know, it's like Doctor Strange combined with Doctor Who combined with this like multi-dimensional badass is what you're going to wind up being after this. And you have help. Let's not forget that. I give myself permission to be my authentic self, solar plexus. These are chakras where it's pulling energy from. So, knowing this will help you fortify them. Essential oils will help. You can also, when it comes to the smoke, like if you're like, Sam, I don't know, asthmatic, I can't do that. A diffuser with water and a couple drops, 2, 3, 4 drops of essential oils. Essential oils are made from plants which have different magical properties. And like we were talking about with the incense earlier, that's really what we're talking about, is things that protect and things that draw in different energies. So essential oils are helpful there, but they're also helpful to physically apply to your body to protect these areas. So find which ones are protective for you. Like look up which ones are protective and then see which ones do I like, right? Which ones do I have like a relationship with? I grew up in a pine forest, so I love pine. I'm persuaded that the pine trees have watched me grow up, shared their wisdom with me, watched over me. Pine is also on that list of protective essential oils. So that's a go-to for me. Lavender I like as well. Rose is very protective depending on who you talk to. And these are also very high vibrational. So solar plexus, third eye. Anything else? Those are the ones to fortify if you can. You can also use sound. This really is a masterclass. You can use sound to cleanse and defend these chakras. There's actually different hertz levels that correspond with the different chakras, and you can play this music to strengthen these areas, to cleanse these areas. Look through the energy clearing playlist and find which, because it has a bunch of different creators by design in there, and each one has a slightly different approach and uses different kinds of Reiki adjacent sort of practices. They're not really, they're completely different, but they're energy moving practices, energy healing practices. Find the creator that makes you feel like, oh, I feel lighter after listening to that or watching that. Like I feel like, or if you feel energy viscerally like me, like that moved energy through me. Find that creator and then see if they do chakra cleansing videos. Normally, these energy healers on YouTube will have an energy clearing video for each chakra. And you can use these as spiritual hygiene and a kind of like self-defense. This is so great. I wish I had had a reading like this. This is phenomenal. I'm really happy to give back in this way. Thank you, Spirit. Anything from here? Why not? If you're new here, this is a storybook deck. If you're new here, welcome. It's not always like this. This is a storybook deck I created of spiritual lessons from stories, and a lot of these I wouldn't see in the same light if I hadn't gone through something like this. So I'm glad to be able to pull from it. Okay. Frodo and Sam at the Falls of Rauros. This is a Lord of the Rings card. Card number 63. Okay, so this card comes out to say that you have true loyal friendship that you can count on. You have the potential for true loyal friendship, is what I'm getting. Like Sam was to Frodo. There's someone who can help you, who can help share this burden, or someone who has your back. Yeah, that's all I'm being guided to say. You have a friend who can help. And if you don't already, one is coming in soon. But the invitation is to recognize them and bring them in. Yeah, like you might have to seek out this friend. Well, maybe it's me. Maybe you should watch more of my readings. Okay, yeah, I'm getting some confirmation for that. Okay. I mean, in this case, your Sam might be a literal Sam. Um, as you can see, I've gone through something very specific here, and I had faith while it was happening that it was happening to me so that I could help other people through something similar. That was my hope. Um, so this is not the only reading that's like this. I know I said it's not always like this, but let's be honest, it's often like this. Um, so yeah, keep tuning in. Watch some of the readings from the past, potentially some useful ones for you there. I link the resources that I talk about in the description box, but you should still listen to them because no one should. I'm getting kind of emotional, guys. This was really traumatic for me when this happened, and no one should go through it alone. So watch the readings, especially if they talk about spiritual protection in the titles. And know that I'm energetically holding your hand. This kind of energy hates me. So, my other channel has me reading a selection of the Psalms as well, just like prayer. Um, Play that the same way you would one of the space clearing videos. And I hope that I can help you sit in a space of spiritual calm. That's the shortcut through all of this. It's the way to ascend as the eagle, and the crows will just fall away. Any more from here? Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, see, that's what I'm talking about. Harry, Ron, and Hermione in the Devil's Snare Plant. This is card number 59. So it's very frustrating advice to be told in an uncomfortable situation. And if you are going through this, uncomfortable, I understand, is an understatement for how you are feeling right now. But the Devil's Snare Plant is like, it's kind of a quicksand type phenomenon. So there are these vines that wrap around you, and they will eventually, like a python, squeeze the life out of you if you struggle. If you struggle, right? If you struggle, the devil's snare wins. But if you relax, right, then it drops you. Like it allows you through the tendrils. There's nothing for it. It just releases you, right? And it's this natural process. It's counterintuitive to the ways that you might want to fight fire with fire, but this is the best solution. So remember that if you tense up, if you get stressed, this is really hard advice, but I'm being asked to say it. If you lean into or indulge your own suffering, right? If you lean into a lack mentality, or you lean into victim mentality, then you will sink deeper into the quicksand. This is a time to stay high vibrational, but not in a way where you're denying your own fear. The complete opposite. You're acknowledging it, but like a feather on a crystal glass. You're just noting that it's there. Fear is happening. That's the best. The best thing is not to say, I am afraid, right? Because you're not. You are not these emotions. the best thing to say is, oh, fear is happening. That's interesting, because these are just hijinks, you know? This thing has nothing on me. Not even to think about it is the best way. If you're focused on anything, it's on energetic hygiene, on your mental health and raising your vibration. So accept, allow, and sink in and through the situation. There's no way around it. This is a process. And I know that you just want to like tear your hair out and escape from this right now, probably. But the only way out is through the devil's snare plant. But I think at this point in the reading, you are starting to see that. You're not alone. You have friends, and you have an arsenal of information here to help you avoid fighting altogether. And that's how you win. Prayer is also really useful, or was for me extremely, extremely useful. Remember to pray from a sense of gratitude and joy rather than desperation. That's just a general piece of advice, but there's lots of really good Psalms. The selection that I recorded on my other channel, those are ones I recommend. Yeah. Allow Spirit to assist you. There's a line from one of the Psalms that goes, through God we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. And, you know, God, source, spirit, however you want to say it, not Christian, totally cool. Neither am I. This is just, I see this as an energetic lesson. And that is to say that, like, if we allow spirit to solve this problem for us, it will be solved a lot quicker. There's nothing, like, you can do all of this energetic hygiene, and should. It's great. It'll make you feel like you're doing something in your environment to tackle this challenge. But the real place that this challenge is overcome is in spirit. So remember that through spirit you shall do valiantly, for, you know, source it is, spirit it is, that shall tread down your enemies. This isn't your battle to fight. This is more like you do these things and you allow spirit to take care of the rest and call upon them for help. You have your own spirit team. Oh man. Oh, you might be just like me. Yeah, so all of this happened to me before I knew anything about spirituality. And I didn't know, like, what's all this that people are talking about spirit teams and stuff. So here is who I pray to, because there's lots of different energies and entities out there, as you are discovering, that do not have your best interests at heart, or are there to teach you energetic lessons. Here's who I ask for help from, and not just help, but conversation, who I have a relationship with, right? So there's the archangels, which will be covered in that subliminal, but the basic prayer that they're from is a Kabbalistic prayer for protection, and it goes like this. Archangel Uriel is before me. Archangel Raphael is behind me. Archangel Michael is to my right. Archangel Gabriel is to my left. And all around me is God's Shekinah. And the Shekinah is like the gentle, feminine, protective presence of God. And it's like a bubble shield. So archangels are just about the most powerful and benevolent beings you can call upon. So to have 4 of them all around you, plus, the feminine presence of God, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good, especially if you believe in its power, right? I get comments all the time about like, you just have this sense of protection around you. You have a really strong energetic protection. And it's from my subconscious belief in my protectors. That's what allows them to come through and protect. The archangels amongst them. But who I regularly work with, this is what I say. So highest self. A lot of people say higher self, and I was like, why are we doing higher? Let's go highest. So highest self, spirit team. And the concept there, this is a group, and some people say that like different energies come in and out of this group as sort of assigned to you on your journey. You can think of them as the energies that are heaven sent to assist you. And maybe on your spirit team, like the core of your spirit team, for instance, it might be like your grandmother who's passed over. It might be like Nikola Tesla. I have no idea, there's this idea that we've lived as souls reincarnated on lots of different worlds as lots of different beings. And they can be anyone from this past, or they can just be like assigned to you. Some people have like dragon energies assigned to them. Some people who are a big spiritual deal have these big, badass spiritual protectors. And not all of them look warm and fuzzy. They might look like a dragon, right? For instance. But anyway, so just have faith that your spirit team has your back absolutely, absolutely, unquestionably, as do the archangels. They are all working towards your highest good and the highest good of all. They are benevolent, completely benevolent, right? Loving energies. So highest self, spirit team, benevolent angels, benevolent archangels, and the benevolent, well, wise ancestors. So my idea there, because this is just personal, right? You can make this whatever you want, as long as you subconsciously and consciously, in your bones, feel like whatever phrasing you're using are completely benevolent and loving beings that have your back absolutely. That's the most important thing. So that's why I add benevolent to angels and benevolent to archangels, because I've been through I've been through this right alongside you. So, and I know that, the angels come with stories from the Abrahamic traditions. They're fallen angels, whatever. So I'm just like, let's just call them benevolent. Benevolent angels, benevolent archangels, and the benevolent, well, wise ancestors. Some people just call upon their ancestors. I don't know who's kicking around in my ancestry. So I call upon the benevolent, well, wise ancestors. And the idea there is that, whoever's on your spirit team, that might consist of benevolent, well, wise ancestors. But when I call them the benevolent, well, wise ancestors, I don't limit it to mine. I'm just like, hey, ancestors of all my lineages, any lineages that are benevolent, well, wise, ancestors of the races that I belong to, whoever, right? As long as they're benevolent, well, and wise, and their ancestors, I trust that they are 1000% loving, benevolent, and have my back to the very end. And it's quite a long phrase. Highest self, spirit team, benevolent angels, benevolent archangels, benevolent, wise ancestors. But remember to say it calmly, right? To move through it calmly. Don't pray or speak to them from a place of fear. Only ever from a place of love, because that's where they can meet you. And they're protecting you regardless, but the stronger your subconscious belief in their protection is, like this is a team effort. This is a team effort. So rewatch this video, write these things down, do your own research in terms of different essential oils, and know that you have a ton of resources at your disposal. And up until now, you might have felt like it was just you in maddening darkness. But know that you are so much stronger than this. You will come out of this a complete badass. This experience will help the world. That's a really hard thing to hear at this point, I imagine. But you having gone through this, as someone who went through it and is out the other side, I am so much stronger. I know myself so much better. And I will live a healthier and happier life after a relatively short period of stress. Any more from here? Finished? One more? Okay, one more. At this point, it's like we're not trying to keep this video short. Luna Lovegood, Daydreaming. This is perfect. Card number 58. So a lot of the advice here feels very counterintuitive in terms of you want to fight this thing, like it's making your life difficult and stressful. And so and there's a reminder here that that's a choice. Of course, I'm getting but having gone through this, that's how I felt at the time, right? And so you want to make its life difficult and stressful. And you might go about these things being like, oh, you like the dark? Well, how about some UV light? How does that feel? And there's this, it's counterproductive to do that. That combative energy is more fuel on the fire. It can help you to put these things in place. And it's okay if you feel like that at first, or even while you're doing it. It's okay. It's understandable. It's human. But once all of these energetic hygiene things are in place, because you'll set up systems, these things will be going on in the background. Once you have set up these systems and you're doing these things, find rest through creative pursuits. No matter how childish, eccentric, specific, unconventional, far out, or weird they might seem, you're dealing with a challenge which is unconventional and weird and kind of far out. So, this is totally natural. Seek out art, imaginative thinking, quirky hobbies, coloring, painting, doing something with your hands that allows your mind to enter flow. I don't know how much of a meditator you are, and I know that it was difficult for me during this time because this kind of energy wants to get a rise out of you, and it wants to disturb your spiritual calm, because when you are spiritually calm, there's nothing for it to eat, right? So you might sit down to meditate and find that there all sorts of irritations pop up that don't feel like necessarily the normal distracted mind. They feel a bit more mischievous, to put it lightly. So this is a way to get around that. What you want to do is find that flow state. But if meditation leads you into more of this Eight of Swords energy rather than this King of Cups energy, then the advice, and do this anyway, but the advice is to seek another activity that puts you into this flow state where you're doing something with your hands. I noticed like all of this is happening. It is happening to you. And I just want to, like, this is such a specific reading. It's so specific. This wouldn't be coming out if this weren't happening. If it's happening in your perception, then it's happening, okay? But I noticed when I was in these flow states, when I was completely absorbed, or even just like watching a high vibrational movie that I enjoyed in childhood, or one that made me laugh, right? That brought me to a state of joy. All of a sudden, my attention shifting, like it took power away from this thing, right? And something else is happening that's really important when you're in this state. So your conscious and subconscious are syncing and sorting through. They're like, in this case, it's almost like they're comparing notes. And your subconscious is the part that needs to be persuaded that you are safe. It needs to be brainwashed to believe that you are safe, is truly what it is. That's why the subliminals are super useful. But this will help because picture yourself as the subconscious. How much in danger can you feel when the conscious mind, instead of doing all of its normal fighting fire with fire stuff, is coloring or watching cartoons or relaxing, dancing, singing? What does that tell the subconscious? It tells the subconscious, oh, we must be safe, right? Yeah, there's no danger here, otherwise we wouldn't be coloring, right? So your conscious and subconscious are comparing notes, and because your conscious is so on top of this and is so relaxed, then your subconscious starts to take that on as well. It filters down. And it's like the subliminals will help you uproot these fears from the subconscious and dispel them. And that will float up into the conscious. You can kind of picture it as. And then this activity from the conscious will sink down calm into the subconscious. And you can tackle it from two different directions. Anything else from this card? Is that it? Okay. I know that I don't know how long this has been going on for you, but I know how exhausting it can feel. Do these things one by one. Set up systems. Have all of this going at once, to the point where it's on autopilot. You're doing all these things. Lean into your strengths, right? In the imaginal realm, you have a powerful mind and a powerful inner child, a creative inner child. And together with your adult genius, you can come up with a solution in the imaginal, the subconscious realms. that will help you here. But I'm getting that, with the rest of the advice, don't think of this as like some sort of mystery you have to solve, where I don't know what my strengths are here, Sam. I don't know what to lean into, because we've covered so many other different energetic strategies that you can employ the rest of these, and this will slowly just, like, you don't have to write a whole, like I did. You don't have to do that, because you have the advice that I did not. The hardest part of this is internal. The hardest part of this is what gets you to know your own mind, your own triggers, your own patterns of behavior. But you'll come out of this a superhero. I promise you that. And you are very, very brave. Like, I'm not saying that to placate anyone. It takes extraordinary bravery to go through this. And skill and discernment and calm and faith. Faith is the main thing that will carry you through. Faith in spirit to move this out of your world, right? This is something in the spiritual realm. It seems like possibly this is your first experience with it, or your first one that has you like gathering resources. This is for a purpose, right? You are learning a lesson here that will carry you through the rest of your life, and it will raise your vibration to the point where this actually can't happen to you again, because you are spiritually unmesswithable. You have a friend in me. You have a friend in spirit. Everything is going to be okay. Everything is okay. It just doesn't always feel like it. Remember to reassure yourself. This is a mental challenge, and you are up to it. This won't last long, especially if you're doing all this. It can't last long. You're changing the entire ecosystem. This thing will have to move on to different spaces, different places. It can't stay with you, and it won't stay with you. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you in the next one for more lighthearted fun. Love you guys.